Hello grade 6. Today we are going to start our next unit and our lesson today is called Area of Rectangles. We will be working in our Jump Math 6.2 book on pages 98 and 99. Our learning target for today is I can find the area of rectangles. Before we begin, let's review the metric system of measurement. Most of the world, including Canada, uses the metric system for measurement. So here you can see Canada is labeled blue, metric, or mainly metric. So you can see that the United States and only a couple of other countries use a system called imperial. So imperial includes things like inches and feet, but in Canada and most of the world, we use the metric system, which includes measurements like centimeter, meter, kilometer. Let's review some of those units. In today's lesson, you will see these units that are part of the metric system: millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. Let's review what each of these looks like. On a standard ruler that you would have at home or at school typically has 30 centimeters. So you can see the centimeters on this ruler are labeled along the top. The bottom of the ruler is using the imperial system and is measuring in inches. So you can see that 12 inches is almost the same as 30 centimeters. The little tiny ticks on your ruler measure millimeters. So each centimeter has 10 millimeters. A meter, we all may think of a meter stick. So within a meter stick, there are 100 centimeters. And then the last measurement that you will see is kilometers. So if you imagined starting at Calgary Academy and walking to Aspen, maybe you want to stop at Starbucks, that distance is 1.5 kilometers. So hopefully now you have a good picture in your mind of what a centimeter, millimeter, meter, and kilometer look like. Today's lesson is all about area, so before we go any further, let's make sure we know exactly what that means. We will also be measuring something called perimeter in this unit. If we have a square, the perimeter is a one-dimensional measurement, and it measures the outline of that square. So the shortest distance around that square. Area is a two-dimensional measurement. So we could make that same square, but now we're considering the area to fill that in. We'll talk about units in a moment. Volume is a three-dimensional measurement. So we could talk about the amount of space that would take up. So if you considered someone's yard, the perimeter would be the fence around the yard, so the distance of fence you may need to enclose that yard, whereas the area would be the grass that you need to cover the surface of that yard. Today, we are focusing on area. Area is measured in square units. So if we are talking about a square that is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, we say that this is a square centimeter. And our unit is written cm with a small 2. That small 2 is squared. You would say centimeters squared. If our square is 1 meter by 1 meter, we would say we have a square meter. The units would be written meter squared with the small 2. And now I'd like you to turn to page 98 in your Jump Math book. Let's look at question 1 together. It says, write an addition equation and a multiplication equation for the number of squares in the rectangle. You can see that question 1A has been done for us. So they recognize that there are rows of 2. 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows of 2. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. Alternatively, you can use a multiplication equation to find the area of this rectangle. 3 units by 2 units. 3 times 2 is 6. Please try B and C on your own. Question 2. How many squares fit along the length and the width of the rectangle? Write a multiplication equation for the number of squares in the rectangle. 2A, again, is done for us. The width is 3 squares. The length is 4. So 3 times 4 equals 12 squares. And if you count the squares, you will see that there are 12. Please try B and C on your own. Question 3 says, use a ruler to join the marks and divide the rectangle into square centimeters. Write a multiplication equation for the number of square centimeters needed to cover the rectangle. Let's try part A together. Let's join these lines. Now I can see that I have 4 squares by 1 square. So my multiplication equation is 4 times 1 equals 4 centimeters squared. And you can see that we have 4 square centimeters. Try B and C on your own. Question 4. Let's read the box above before we begin. The area of a flat shape is the number of squares of the same size needed to cover the shape without gaps or overlaps. A square centimeter is a unit for measuring area. Area is also measured in other square units. Predict the names of the units. So if your square is 1 meter by 1 meter, remember that's a small m with our small 2, that is called a square meter. If our square is only 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter, that would be a square millimeter. Go ahead and try part C. All right, let's take a look at page 99. Question 5 says, how many unit squares are needed to cover the rectangle? Write a multiplication equation for the area. Include the units. So we can see that the part 1 is 4 squares wide and 3 squares long. The units are small m, or meters. So 4 meters times 3 meters equals 12 meters squared. Please try part 2 and part 3. Part B says, write a formula for the area of a rectangle. You may have noticed that the area of a rectangle is equal to the length of the rectangle times the width of the same rectangle. Question 6. Calculate the area of the rectangle. Include the units. Part A. If our formula for area is length times width, the length of this rectangle is 8 meters. The width is 3. So 8 times 3 is 24. Let's not forget the units. This was measured in meters. So our units are meters squared. Please try part B and part C. Question 7. Remember, 1 millimeter is 1/10 of 1 centimeter. The line segment on the right is 3 centimeters, 7 millimeters long. You can record its length as 3.7 centimeters. Estimate the length and width of the rectangle in centimeters, then record the area. I would like you to try question 7 by first estimating the length and the width of the rectangle to the right. Fill in your estimate in these boxes and then calculate the area. Then I would like you to find a ruler and measure the actual length and width of that rectangle. We have not done enough practice with decimals and multiplication yet, so you may use a calculator to solve the area. Question 8. Find the area of the rectangle using the length and the width. Include the units. I would like you to try A, B, and D. If you would like, you can try question 9. Question 9 is optional. That's it for today.